Welcome everyone to Color Commentary. We are your pauper commentators, Michael Petchik and Adrian Barzales. How's it going, Adrian?
Well, good.
How was your how were your end of year celebrations?
Good. My mom was in town. I went to a friend's for New Year's. Liz made a vision board. I got really into Topo Chico. That's a new thing about me.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, for my trophy hunting fans, I'm currently playing through Final Fantasy VII again for the billionth time, but this time with trophies, so it's worth it.
That's the one with Cloud in it, right?
Oh my God, Mike! Yes.
I'm just making sure that I'm on the same page as you here, buddy. All right, yeah, my winter season was good. It's freezing here and miserable, but you know, that's life in the Northeast. Single digit temperatures.
That reminds me of one of my friends at work is from Boston, and she hates it when we talk about the temperature in the office, and it's kind of funny. So I wonder.
Yeah. I mean, in Texas, like the summer was miserable, and I whined about that all the time. So, yeah, it's God, yeah. The sub freezing temperatures are the ones where it really starts to suck. But let's take care of our upkeep because we have got a spoiler show to do. These are always a little on the long side, so let's get stuff taken care of. First up, I want to talk to you wonderful fine folks about Original Magic Art. Original Magic Art is a website. They have a store, and their store has all sorts of cool stuff featuring art from Magic and also art from all over. They have the classic art series using a variety of art throughout history. They put it on dice bags, playmats, tokens, all sorts of cool stuff. They also get official Magic art licensed so that they can do prints and playmats of it. It's super cool. Right now, you can purchase a print of Gorilla Shaman. Man, I wish I'd known this earlier or would have gotten this for our favorite Affinity player here, Adrian. But importantly, if you're a fan of the show and you go there and you say, I think I would like to place an order, remember to use the coupon code on checkout, color commentary, spelled as it is in our name, all caps, and you will receive 5% off your total order. And in addition, we get a little bit of a kickback, so that helps keep the lights on here and helps you get some cheaper, very, very cool art. What do you got for us this week, Adrian?
Well, as always, this show is brought in part by viewers like you. We have a Patreon for just $1 an episode. You can hear our pre and post show. Today was a little bit more business oriented. We do have some fun ones. And then you get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord channel, which is still actually going pretty strong. So thank you out there to all the patrons again. Join up. We have a fun crew, so hope to see you there.
Yeah, definitely faded a little bit over the break, but people were busy with family stuff, so only to be expected. All right, so releasing in, I guess, when the general public hears this, 5 days is Rivals of Ixalan, which is the second set in the Rivals of Ixalan block, the last small set we're getting for the foreseeable future. And man, let's just lead into this because I'm going to say this right off the bat, not super big for Pauper, but we should.
I also want to address reprints from the last set.
Yeah, how about that? We're not going to be covering the reprints, but they just straight up reprinted stuff that was seen in the last set. What are your feelings on this? So from what I've heard, it's supposed to be so that it can help out limited. And for example, one of the things that got reprinted was Legion Conquistador, the Squadron Hawk on the ground. So now that actually still maintains a density, so you can still draft like a bunch of them and not worry about having to wait for pack 2 and maybe seeing 1 or 2 of them, which I think is neat. But I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on this?
Lazy. I get where they're coming from, but it's not 1 or 2 cards. It's like 5 or 6. And this set is small, like you said. And so, overall, maybe not a big percentage, but and I don't think any of them are uncommons or rares. I think they're actually all commons, right?
I believe so. I didn't notice any uncommons that got reprinted.
Okay in the long run because it's better for limited than like a random unplayable common. You know what I mean? So maybe it's not too bad.
Yeah, I do like the one case of Legion Conquistador, just because that is something that cares about having a density of it. So having 3 packs where you can still open it at roughly a similar rate makes it cool. But I'm not going to draft this. I'm sorry. Like, I was hopeful, but this just isn't my cup of tea. But we'll get into that after the review. We're going to have a little discussion about why this set and sets like it in the future are not necessarily great for our format. But let's start off with Cleansing Ray, which is 1 and a white for a sorcery. Choose 1. Destroy target vampire or destroy target enchantment. Thoughts on this one, Adrian?
Probably fine in limited. There's a lot of good enchantments, a lot of good vampires. We'll do in this format are not a lot. What's a good vampire, for example, that is worth white sorcery that also wants to destroy an enchantment? Modal is cool, but overall probably not the right tool for the format.
No, like I can't think of any vampires in our format that like are must answer threats to the point where I'd run a worse disenchant. So I think I think this is gonna be a pass for me.
Our next card is Exultant Sky Marcher, which is killable by Cleansing Ray. It's 1 and a double white for a vampire soldier with flying, and it is a 2/3.
So I guess technically, if you want to look at it in a certain light, this is like a Skyfisher when you bounce the land, I guess? Question mark. I don't know.
Stat line as Vampire Nighthawk? Question mark.
Yeah, like this is one of the things I've noticed is a lot of common slots in this are taken up by creatures with relevant creature types that are French vanilla, and like this is getting very, very close to being good, but it's just not quite there. Even if it had, like, I think I could take any non-defender keyword, slap this on it, and I'd be happy running it. But
yeah, but
as it stands,
is not that strong.
Yeah. Next up, we have Luminous Bonds, 2 and a white, enchantment aura, enchant creature, enchanted creature can't attack or block. This is just a worse pacifism. That's all there is to say about this. It's just 1 more mana for the same effect. So why don't you take us on from here, Adrian?
Yep. All right. That one's bad. Martyr of Dusk. Actually, interesting card. 1 and a white for a 2/1 vampire soldier. When it dies, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. So kind of a little bit like Doom Traveler, but worse.
Well, I'm gonna toss this out there. Like, it does have the soldier creature type. We have in days past seen that soldier tribal deck where they get to run Ballyrush Banneret and all sorts of other soldiers. This with the Ballyrush Banneret on the field is a 1 mana 2/1 that does leave behind a body, and even without the cost reduction, I feel less bad about this. I think a lot of decks would prefer Doom Traveler over this, but I don't hate the fact that it's leaving behind a body with lifelink.
Sticky cards are pretty good. Loyal Cathar, I think, is probably like it that I can think of, and I think is better, although it does cost double white, so make of that what you will.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this one is interesting. It's not, groundbreaking or anything, but it certainly is efficiently costed, and we've seen effects like this do well before, mostly in aristocrat style lists, so I don't want to rule this one out completely. All right, next up we've got Moment of Triumph. 1 white for an instant. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. You gain 2 life. Is this good?
It's probably doesn't really have a home. I don't hate it, honestly. White combat trick. Maybe that blue-white seeker deck wants something like this.
I just can't imagine that the 2 life is worth running this over. Like there's the white built to last, the one that if it's an artifact it gains indestructible. I don't know. It seems like minimal upside, but there's
also just growth, which is free. So I'm not sure how relevant the life gain is, and maybe tacking on a cost makes that effect a lot less good.
Yeah, I definitely think so. What's up next?
Sanguine Glorifier, a vampire cleric. Cleric's interesting tribe in Pauper. Certainly has some good cards, but overall very underpowered. So interesting to get a new one. 3 and a white for a 3/3, so already not a great stats. Enters the battlefield, you put a 1+1/+1 counter on another target vampire you control. And it suffers from the same problem in that there are not very many good vampires in Pauper currently, so I don't think you're going to be getting a lot of bang for your buck out of that +1/+1 counter.
I kind of would like this a lot more if it was a vampire you control, just so like if there was a vampire tribal deck, you could play this into an empty board just to get a 4-mana 4/4, but I could see how that could potentially be a little bit too pushed for limited. So, yeah, this one again, tribal support just not there. Next up, we have something I do want to talk about, and that's because this card resembles a similar a card that has seen mixed success in the past. This is Snubhorn Sentry. It's 1 white for an 0/3, and it has the new keyword from the set, which we haven't talked about yet. It's called Ascend. And Ascend is if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. Now, when we talk about this ability, I do want to point out right now we're living in a metagame where we're prominently playing around with a mechanic that permanently alters the way the game works. So similar to Monarch, this is something that once introduced is very hard to interact with. In this case, you just have it. If you have the city's blessing, you don't lose it for the duration of the game. And with permanents like this, it's checking constantly. So if you play this and you have 9 permanents, and then next turn you just play a land, you get the city's blessing. And in this case, what it does is Snubhorn Sentry gets +3/+0 as long as you have the city's blessing. So I'm going to choose to compare this to Wild Nakatl. What say you, Adrian?
Well, Wild. Well, the first thing is if this was the 10th, city's blessing. If this is your 10th permanent,
What was that?
still get the city's blessing if you have 9 permanents and then play this.
Yes. So on permanents, Ascend checks constantly as long as that permanent's on the battlefield. So you could play this as your second permanent, and as long as you eventually hit 10, it will become a 3/3.
Gotcha. Okay. In that case, maybe it's okay. I can't think of a deck that really wants it. I don't think it's going to go into the zoo deck. 10 is a lot of permanents, and one of the strengths of Wild Nakatl is that you really only need, in Modern, like 2 to make it good, or 3 in Pauper, or yeah, you need at least 3 because even if you do Nylea's Blessing, it costs 2.
Yeah, so I definitely get that concern of 10 permanents is a lot to hit in this format. I do want to point out, like, there is that white tokens deck, like Soul Sisters or no, that just like tries to swarm the board as quickly as possible. I don't think it's unrealistic for a deck like that to hit 10 permanents. So I think that this may have some role there, just as, a 1-mana 3/3. It's hard to argue with those stats.
Body in the format, so yeah, I don't hate it.
All right, what do we got next?
We have an aura, an enchantment. Squire's Devotion, 2 and a white. It's +1/+1 on lifelink. A 1/1 white vampire soldier creature token, or vampire creature token, excuse me, with lifelink. So obvious comparison is Cartouche of blah de blah vigilance.
Solidarity.
On Solidarity. I don't think Boggles is in the market for another 3 mana enchantment. That's not Ancestral Mask or you trample Armadillo Cloak.
Yeah.
So and then they actually run lifelink.
Yeah. So I'm okay. So Cartouche in comparison is 2 mana less. You get a 1/1 with Vigilance instead, and the creature gets +1/+1 and first strike. I've got to imagine every line of that card is superior to what Squire's Devotion is offering. Yeah, I can't make a case for this. And next up, we have Suncrested Pterodon, which is 4 and a white for a 2/5 with flying, and it has Vigilance as long as you control another dinosaur. This is very bad, right?
really, really, really not very good. I don't even think it's that good in limited.
Yeah, this seems like something that I would maybe play as a 23rd card if my draft had gone completely off the rails, and even then I'm not feeling super hot about it. All right, what's next?
Yeah, a Vigilance Bear, a 2/2 Human Soldier, Sun Sentinel, for 1 and a white. Very good.
No, but it is nice again to see that French vanilla creatures are showing up at common, so we're slowly power creeping towards playables. Next up, we have Crashing Tide, 2 and a blue. It has it's a sorcery. It has flash as long as you control a merfolk. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Draw a card. Adrian, how do you feel about a conditional repulse?
Not great. I forgot that Repulse was a card. I was thinking, wow, I would just rather play Vapor Snack. But yeah, Repulse is a card that does not see play, and this is worse. And how conditional it is. So yeah, it's not very good.
Yeah, just having like we're hitting a glut here of cards that aren't good. How about you introduce us to our first pirate friend of the set?
This one's a bad mana war. It's 3 and a blue for a 3/2. Deadeye Rig Hauler. Raid when it enters the battlefield. If you attack the creature this turn, you may return target creature to its owner's hand. Wouldn't you just rather play Mana War? Come on.
I think you do. I think you just play Mana War, and no one plays Mana War. So this is by necessity quite unplayable.
Mike, this episode is making me sad.
Yeah, but we got to get through it. We got to have these discussions just to see if there's anything that crops up. Next up, we have Kitesail Courser, which is 1 and a blue for a 2/1, and it has flying as long as it's attacking. So, as we can tell, WotC has made the decision that blocking is bad and should never happen. I don't know. This is not good. Like, we have Welkin Turn in the format, and again, that's a stone cold unplayable card. So, next.
We have Mistcloaked Herald, a 1/1 blue Merfolk, can't be blocked. I think this is already a card, Triton Shorestalker.
It is Triton Shorestalker. In fact, in Amonkhet, we actually had a strictly better version of this card. It's called Slitherblade. It's got 1 more toughness. It isn't a Merfolk, though, so you can't tell people about how much this is going to fit into that supposedly tier 1 modern deck.
No, Triton Shorestalker didn't make it. This card's not going to make it.
Yeah.
Why don't you take us to the next Merfolk Warrior in the same vein?
Next up, we have River Darter, which is 2 and a blue for a 2/3 Merfolk Warrior, and it can't be blocked by dinosaurs, which, if this ever comes up, send me a screenshot, and I will send you $1 on PayPal. I'm dead serious. If this comes up in Pauper, specifically Pauper, that you get in with this creature because your opponent can't block it because the only blocker they have is a dinosaur, I will send you $1. First person only. Dead serious. What do we have next? This is another piratey themed card, and for those who don't know, Adrian loves pirates. So why don't you take this one for us?
This one is actually pretty interesting. Blue for an enchantment, Aura. Flash, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +0/+2 as long as it's a pirate. Otherwise, it gets -2/-0. The reason I say that it's interesting is because you can tutor for it with mystical teachings. And if it was the reverse, I might be inclined to even say it's a good spell.
You're saying if it gave -0/-2?
Or if it was a pirate, it gave +2/+0.
Ah, okay. So you're saying if it made your creatures more aggressive, or if it was potentially a removal spell, you'd feel way better about this, which I agree with.
Want to attack. I don't think they want to have a big butt. I mean, maybe that's why the card is the way it is. Maybe in Future League it was too strong the other way around or something. I don't know, but does seem like a missed flavor opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really get where this is going. All right. Next up, the card I'm so excited to be wrong about. Secrets of the Golden City. Secrets of the Golden City is 1 blue for sorcery, draw 2 cards, but it also has a send, and if you have the city's blessing, you draw 3 cards instead. I like this. Fight me, Adrian.
Like it too. I think it's the strongest card we've looked at. Double blue is going to hurt it a little, but we don't have like Thirst for Knowledge or the other one, the one that makes you untap because it's banned. Like, we don't really have like a compulsive research is a draw 3, discard 2, right?
Yeah, or discard 1 if you have a land in hand. I just like this.
Draw 3s are good.
Yeah, like 3 cards is a lot, and the fact that this early game is just divination, I could potentially, if it weren't double blue, I would definitely be saying try this in like the Morosatron lists. This just seems like gas. But as it stands, it's not a slam dunk, but this is I think the card I'm the most excited about.
Yeah. Up next, we have Soul of the Rapids, another entry in the hexproof 3/2s. Blue, and 3 for an elemental with 3/2 flying and hexproof.
Yeah.
Don't hate it, but probably not good enough.
Probably not, just because of the prevalence of Delver and the fact that this thing will trade with Delver and doesn't come out till turn 5, probably. But I do dig this particular configuration. This thing is going to be horrible to play against in limited, I imagine. Just this thing is just going to keep beating down constantly, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it quickly. Next up, we have a slithery friend in the form of Spirewinder, which is a 2/3 snake for 3 and a blue. It has flying, it has ascend, and it gets +1/+1 as long as you have the city's blessing. I kind of don't hate a 3/4 in the air for 4.
I think what we'll see as the common thread through our spoilers and through in the format itself is Ascend is a sweet mechanic, but as like the premier mechanic of the set, the commons did not get good versions of it.
I think stuff like Secrets of the Golden City, like the delta between drawing 2 cards and 3 is pretty heavy. The difference between an overcosted 2/3 flyer and a still kind of pricey 3/4 flyer is not as huge. I think this the win case scenario on this is you have an adequate like attacker or blocker in the air, and the lose case is you're playing a very expensive, not much better Windrake.
Up next, we have a card that I'm going to pitch to you, Mike. I'm going to make you want to play this card. What if I told you that this card had the same cost and the same stat lines as Augur of Bolas?
I'd be pretty excited. I like casting Augur of Bolas. I really enjoy that card.
What if I told you you do not get to look at the top couple cards of your library and put an instant or sorcery from among them into your hand? What if I just told you it was just the 1/3?
Oh, all right. I see your point here, sir. This is a bad card. In fact, it wasn't playable when it was Maritime Guard either.
Augur of Bolas. Come on, Mike. Yeah, it's bad. Sworn Guardian, 1 of the blue for a 1/3 vanilla. Not great.
No. Next up, we have Waterknot. 1 blue, enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature does not untap during its controller's untap step. Don't we already have this? Isn't this just Claustrophobia?
Which is a house in limited, but is not good enough for our format.
But I'm not mistaken here, right? This is just Claustrophobia with a new name and new art, right?
It is literally Claustrophobia.
All right, fair enough. What's next?
Monitor. God. 4 and a black for a 5/3 vanilla.
Yep. It does have funny flavor text about goblins being eaten, but
the first goblin tried to swim the canal. The second built a raft. The last and craftiest goblin launched herself from a fire cannon and soared over the canal, trailing smoke. All were eaten, but only one was cooked.
Yeah.
Not their A game, but okay.
No. All right. Next up, we've got Dark Inquiry. Some pirate is having a very bad time in the art of this card. 2 and a black, sorcery. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose an online card from it. That player discards that card. How do you feel about Thoughtseize? Did you ever wish that you could pay 2 more mana and 2 less life?
Distress is the card in our format that is most like it. Distress is, of course, black. So you could play this in our fun, cool control deck that we played a while back a little bit easier. But no, I think if you like 2 is the turn that you maybe want to be and taking something in this format. Turn 3 is way too late.
Yeah, this is just not good. All right. What piratey things up next, Adrian?
All right, I'm going to get all the pirate ones, and I also want to say this is also feels a little bit like Torok. Did you ever play Torok?
Yeah, actually, I hadn't thought about it in that light, but it is vaguely Torok-y.
And what was the tagline for the first Torok game? Was it Torok Dinosaur Hunter?
I believe it was.
Dinosaur Hunter. 1 in the black for a human pirate. It's a 2/2, so okay stats. But whenever Dinosaur Hunter deals damage to a dinosaur, destroy that creature. So conditional death touch.
Conditional death touch on a bear for a creature type, which again, I have never had a dinosaur played against me in a constructed format, and I anticipate it'll stay that way. Next up, we have a horse. And for those who don't know me in real life, I do not like horses as animals. And this card art perfectly illustrates how I see all horses. It's Dusk Charger. It's 3 in a black for a 3/3, and it has Ascend. And as long as you have the City's Blessing, it has +2/+2. So if you can have 10 permanents in play, you can get a 4-mana 5/5. How do we feel about this?
I'm more of a Centaur guy myself, but I think it's pretty good.
Oh, we made it into 2018, folks. We got there. A Centaur joke.
It's not very good. Yeah, years for a Centaur joke. It's not that strong. I mean, 5 mana, sure. Like,
it's 4, dude. It's 4. Like, it is. Yeah. If you have the City's Blessing, this does pass the vanilla test. Like,
I think City's Blessing is going to be what 2 or 3 cards can my deck play that can take advantage of City's Blessing, because just Dust Charger is probably not that good. It's probably good enough just for Secrets of the Golden City, but I would love for there to be some other reason, like 2 or 3 reasons you want to be in a Sin deck, for example.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I was perhaps getting defensive on this one, but yeah, this is not super exciting.
All right, up next, we have Alex Ullman's preview card, Dusk Legion Zealot. 1 in a black for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and you lose a life. Basically, sort of like a mini Phyrexian Rager. I think Rager is the better card for what it's worth. This dies to your own witches in mono black, but I would be interested in seeing what other decks this might go into.
I kind of like the fact that this over, like, say, a Sign in Blood on turn 2 does actually get you some level of board position. We have been seeing mono black make a little bit of a comeback in the metagame, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this. I'm not entirely sold on it over Phyrexian Rager. It does slightly decrowd the 3-drop slot, which I like, and it does mean that, you know, those 2 landers are a little bit more keepable. I don't know. I like this. I think it'll see play. It's not dreadfully exciting, but it sure is efficient. Next up, we have an Orc Pirate, Fathom Fleet Border. It's 2 in a black for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you lose 2 life unless you control another pirate. So this is a 3/3 for 3 with downside. Yeah, nope. Next one.
Grasping Scoundrel. 1 gets +1/+0 as long as it's attacking. Mono black aggro, maybe you got a new card? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that this thing swings for 2, but I don't think the mono black aggro list has been that great, and I think this isn't going to be the thing that absolutely breaks. Especially since the last time we saw this thing 5-0, it was running Renegade Freighter. This thing has a rougher time crewing that. I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Me neither.
Next up, we have a card that I do actually want to talk about because I think it's interesting. Gruesome Fate. 2 black, sorcery. Each opponent loses 1 life for each creature you control. There have been attempts at a black-white tokens list. Is this the finisher they're looking for?
I personally like it. Mob Justice is seeing play in elves. Obviously, different color, costs less, but same sort of effect. But I do like that this doesn't target. Not that there is any kind of there's not a ley line of sanctity in the format or anything like that. But it is interesting. I think if you are of the Pauper Commander sort, it's probably a pretty good card. But yeah, I actually do think it's not terrible.
I am also going to choose to point out in this moment is that it also is life loss. It's not damage. This can't be prismatic stranded.
Can't be stopped by Circle of Protection either, which is actually a card that I think Black has an issue with if it resolves. So
yeah, I think this may have a home. I don't think that this is, a tier 1 strategy to go with or anything, but I could see this showing up as one of our like cards that 5-0s and then we never see it again. I think that's kind of where this thing lives.
It's the neat piece of tech.
Yeah. How about you? How about you really stick it to us with this next one?
The next one is awful, but it is like a cool flavor card. It's called Impale. It's 2 black creature. I think I've said all I need to say about it. 4 mana for a sorcery to kill a creature is awful. We have murder in the format, which is just better in every way.
Yup. Next up, we've got a riff on a card that does see play in Pauper. It's Moment of Craving. 1 and a black for an instant. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. You gain 2 life. So is tacking 1 mana onto Disfigure good enough? Is that a good exchange for gaining 2 life off of that?
Approach it from another angle. I don't think it's good enough. I think Echoing Decay is better. Same sort of deal. You don't gain the life, but -2/-2 to a creature and each other creature with the same name is what makes that card playable. And I think just adding 2 life does not.
Okay, that's a totally fair way to approach it. I had kind of been looking at this as a Disfigure that's more expensive but with upside, but framing it in the context of Echoing Decay, yeah, this is actually bad. All right, what's next?
The pre-show, I thought it was good too, but I'm not a big fan now that I thought of Echoing Decay. Up next, we got Vampire Champion, a 3/3 for 4 with Death Touch. Vampire Soldier. A lot of Vampire Soldiers. If that ever matters, the set will probably become good, but still nothing really to write home about.
Yeah, if we get Soldier Tribal in a future set, I could see some of these things popping off, but it's just not very good. Next up, I've got a Vampire Spirit for you. It's Vampire Revenant. It's a it looks like a smoke cloud. It's 3 and a black for a 3/1 with flying. Vampire Spirit. That's all. Do you want to move on directly from this thing?
Next card, either Voracious Vampire, 2 and a black with a Vampire Knight, 2/2 with Menace. When it enters the battlefield, target vampire you control gets +1/+1 and gains Menace till end of turn. So yeah, whatever.
This is probably very good and limited if you're in the Vampires deck, just because it's going to get in and it's going to let something else get in the turn it enters. But boy, again, Vampire is just not a great tribe in Pauper. Next up, we've got Bombard, which is 2 and a red for an instant. It deals 4 damage to target creature. So is 2 generic mana more really worth it to make that Flame Slash an instant?
I like this card.
Really?
If it was 1 and a red, it would be much better.
All right. I was going to say
red is all too much. But I like it. Like I don't think it's playable. I would be interested to see if someone tries it though.
I'm going to toss this out there. If this hit players, do you think it would be better? Like, well, obviously it would be better, but would it be a bigger consideration in your mind if it was 3 mana, 4 to a creature or a player?
Modal is good, but 2 mana is so very, very much mana. It's a lot. So I don't think making it fit for 2 extra mana. Flame Slash is definitely more for creature control, which is why people play it, even though it's a sorcery and it only hits creatures. But because it's so mana efficient, and there are a lot of turns in the format where you go Flame Slash your thing and then bounce my land, or you go Flame Slash and then do something else with your other 2 mana. I don't think 3 mana is very playable.
Fair enough. Next pirate.
3 in a red for 3/3. When Brazen Freebooter enters the battlefield, create a colorless treasure artifact. Create Lotus Petal. Prosperous Pirates is better.
Prosperous Pirates is better. This is technically a 3/3 for 3, and if you squint real hard, but no, we're past the point where vanilla creatures are
big
good.
Thing is, it makes 2.
Oh, wait, no. This makes one.
Prosperous Pirates is good because it makes 2.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. Next up, we've got Buccaneers Bravado. 1 in a red, choose 1. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains first strike until end of turn, or target pirate gets +1/+1 and gains double strike until end of turn as an instant. Again, this is going to be great and limited, but if you're thinking about playing a double strike effect, I can't imagine this is the one you would go to before things like Assault Strobe or Double Cleave, or even just play Teamer Battle Rage, please. That card is very, very good.
Yeah, I don't think this is. I like modal cards, but I don't think this is very good.
Yeah.
The card next.
I think the issue here is one of the modes is tribal specific. That's it. If this had like some other way to do the second mode other than controlling a pirate, I'd feel better about this.
I do like the next one, Fanatical Firebrand. 1 for a 1/1 with haste, Goblin Pirate. Also has tap to sacrifice to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. Like I said, I don't hate it. It's somewhere, Mike and I were talking before the show, it's somewhere between Raging Goblin and Mock Fanatic, both of which are not played in the format. But I would be interested to see if this is good enough for like red deck wins. I don't know what you would cut out of it because the 2/2s are so strong in that deck. But it is interesting that you can use this to turn on like Jackal Pup or something, or not Jackal Pup, Jackal Familiar.
Yeah, and I do like the fact that like you can sort of, have this thing around, and if your opponent, it means you can get your opponent to 1 and not have to have this thing get in. Like that's a point in its favor. It's not super strong. I do really like the art of it though. I do like this goblin who's pretty much on fire and loaded up with what I am assuming are grenades.
Really, really like the goblins in this set.
Right.
I like that they're all pirates and they're basically like monkeys. It's awesome.
I do like the aesthetic they picked for this one. It's kind of similar to the Tarkir goblins in that it's a very sort of funky look at goblins, but I dig it. Next up, we have Frilled Death Spitter, which is 2 in a red for a 3/2. And whenever it's dealt damage, it deals 2 damage to target opponent. So let's talk about Pestilence. Let's talk about the only home I can imagine this card having. And it's the deck that pings everything, and this would just turn every single use activation into a lightning bolt. Do you like it then?
Yeah, sure. The old red-black Pestilence deck actually could be a thing. I don't hate it. You're also forgetting that this is sweet anti-electrickery tech.
Ooh, there you go. Really, really get your opponent when they electrickery you on turn 2, and you have a 3/3 drop sitting in your hand. All joking aside, I think there's someone will figure out how this works in an infinite combo, and we'll get videos of it, and it won't go anywhere. That's my take on this. How about you clear a trail for us with this next card?
A Goblin Shortcutter. It's Goblin Trailblazer. 1 in a red for another 2/1 Goblin, except instead of making it so your 2 power or less creature can't be blocked, it has Menace.
That kind of makes a creature not be able to be blocked, but it is Goblin Trailblazer only.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Next.
All right, next up, we've got Mutiny. 1 red for a sorcery. Target creature an opponent controls deals damage equal to its power to another target creature that player controls. So this, in the abstract, basically reads sorcery, 1 red, destroy the second biggest thing your opponent controls. I'm not a fan of this. I think if this made them fight, I'd be much happier, but hoo boy, this... I don't know. Am I missing something here, Adrian?
All right, but no, it's bad.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to our next fine feathered friend that we have here.
We got a Ravnica Raptor, 3/4 for red 2.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us about the next dinosaur?
Next up, we have Stampeding Horncrest, which is 4 in a red for a 4/4. It has haste as long as you control another dinosaur. Again, Dinosaur Tribal's not a thing. It will not happen. Good night. Moving on.
Another dinosaur. 1 in a red for a 1/2. All right, not so bad. With trample. All right, color me intrigued. 2 in a red. Sun-Collared Raptor gets +3/+0 until end of turn, and the card is also Sun-Collared Raptor. Yeah.
I mean, you get
probably okay. Nowhere.
I guess like you play this, and then like the next turn you pump it and you swing for 4 trample damage? Question mark. I don't know. This is bad. I want to go on to another bad card. It's Swab Goblin. It's 1 in red. It's a 2/2. It's just a bear in red. What's next, Adrian?
Corsair. 2 in a red for a 2/2. So Gray Ogre. Raid. Swaggering Corsair enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it if you attack the creature this turn. Don't think it's good enough still.
Don't think it's good enough. That said, this is very easy for this to be a vanilla 3/3 for 3. Like, I've got to imagine in any deck that you run this in, like, I don't know if standard Pauper is still a thing. I've got to imagine if there's a red aggressive deck in it, this just slots right in there because attacking with a creature is pretty low threshold to activate for a red deck. Next up, we have a card that I actually think might have a home. It's Tillinolly's Crown. Tillinolly's Crown is 1 in a red for a enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Tillinolly's Crown enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to enchanted creature. Enchanted creature is +3/+0 and has trample. I actually like this in mono red heroic.
Yeah, it's not bad. It triggers Enrage. It doubles as a removal spell.
Actually, I hadn't even thought about that. You can technically enchant 1-power creatures with this and kill them. I do like the fact that in mono red heroic, you're playing stuff like Satyr Hoplite. Satyr Hoplite will actually get the buff counter when it's targeted. So you can just go turn 1 Satyr Hoplite, turn 2 Tillinolly's Crown, and then have a 5/2 on turn 2. I don't know. I kind of dig that. It's very aggressively costed. What's our next fish person here that we have to talk about?
I think this one is almost there. 1 in a green for a 2/1 Gilt Grove Stalker. It cannot be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Like I said, almost there, but I think Silhana Ledgewalker is generally the better card.
Yeah, I think the hexproof and the fact that this just kind of says it doesn't get blocked by small things, whereas like there's so many games where Silhana Ledgewalkers just can't be blocked functionally. So I'm gonna pass on this one. Next, we have Hardy Veteran. 1 in a green for a 2/2. As long as it's your turn, Hardy Veteran gets +0/+2. So it's a 2/4 when you attack with it. So okay.
Up next, we have Jade Bearer, a 1/1 Merfolk Shaman. When it enters the battlefield, you put a 1/1 counter on another target Merfolk you control.
God.
Mike, tell us about the next Merfolk, who appears to be the same one.
Actually, I did notice that, but let me talk about Jade Bearer again. If this just said a Merfolk you control, I would be so happy. Just a green.
Oh, it would be so good.
It would be really good. It would just be a 2/2 for 1, but that would excite me. But next up, we have Jadecraft Artisan, which is a very similar looking Merfolk. 3 in a green for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Now, I believe that Yeva's Force Mage is already legal, and I believe it's pretty much the same card, and I believe I've seen it played an exact 0 number of times.
It's a little different. I think Yeva's Force Mage only costs 3 and is a 2/2 and is an elf, so I think it has a lot more going for it. So yeah, not very good.
No. What's up next?
Jungleborn Pioneer. 2 in a green for a 2/2. When it's the battlefield, create a 1/1 blue Merfolk creature token with hexproof. So not terrible. Brings a buddy.
Yeah, this is kind of an attended knight in green, right? Kind of. I don't know. This isn't very good. Next, we have Knight of the Stampede, which is 3 in a green for a 2/4. And it says dinosaur spells you cast cost 2 generic less to cast. So this is mana ramp when you hit 4 mana. That's when you want it, right?
So I think this card is strong.
Mm-hmm.
Generic less off any dinosaur is pretty good. And if you turn 4 play this, and then turn 5 it lives, and turn 5 you just plop down a whole bunch of big stupid dinosaurs, it is pretty good. However, dinosaurs just I don't think are good enough for you to want to play a base green dinosaur deck. I mean, I think there are exactly 0 green dinosaurs that we just went over here. No, hold on, there's 2 coming up. My bad.
Why don't you take us into those dinosaurs to see if this payoff is worth it?
First, we have Orazca Frillback, 2 and a green for a dinosaur. It's just a generic 4/2. I mean, sure, I want to play that for G, but would I play it for G plus another card? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. It's also 3 mana, so this is the point on your curve before Night of the Stampede. So, like, if you're curving out, you've already played the Orazca Frillback. I don't know. That seems garbage. Next is Overgrown Armasaur, though, which I do actually want to talk about with relationship to Night of the Stampede. So it's 3 green for a 4/4, and it has Enrage. Whenever it's dealt damage, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. This would be sweet to curve Night of the Stampede into. This, keep up mana for a Vines of Vastwood or something like that. But again, 5 mana is just a pipe dream for most Pauper decks, I imagine. Why don't you show us what our first of the shiny artifacts that we have in this set is?
2 mana for an 0/4 with Defender. When it dies, you get a Lotus Petal.
Okay. This isn't the worst, I guess. It's not inspiring, but it blocks.
Cost 1.
If you
could Trinket Mage for it.
If it cost 1, I would be much more into this. And they also would probably never print that because it would slow like draft to a grind.
It was 1 for an 0/3.
1 for an 0/3? Sure. I'd actually consider that. 1 for an 0/3 that later I get back a mana from when it dies. I think I'm okay with, actually. But let's round things out. Let's finish this out on a high note. Orazca Relic, 3 generic, artifact, ascend, tap, add a colorless, tap, sacrifice, you gain 3 life and draw a card, activate this ability only if you have the City's Blessing. You actually like this in the pre-show. Why don't you tell folks why you find this an interesting effect?
Front end, it is not the best mana ramp style card. Guardian Idol will actually win you the game, and it doesn't gain you a life every turn like the Pristine Talisman. Sacrifice it later and draw a card does seem pretty strong to me. And the decks that I could see playing this are, blue black, specifically. Getting artifacts back. I think what will kill it is that, 3 mana is not super bad. I guess really what will kill it is people don't play Mind Stone, and Mind Stone is probably just better in most cases.
Probably. I think that's the big thing. Even though this has no activation cost, it does have a significant deck building cost, and you have to plan to hit 10 artifacts in most of your games. So as a result, you're probably goozling yourself before the game even starts by running this. Okay. We've run through every non-reprint common. I do want to give shout outs. There is very nice new art for Negate. And I think one of my favorite Evolving Wilds arts in this set. Those are both really, really nice. And I think my least favorite Naturalize art. But there have been some stinkers for that one. So I don't want to commit to that 100%. So let's talk about this set. And I know it sounded like we were overwhelmingly negative about this set. And I think we kind of were. And I think the reason behind that is this isn't a great set for Pauper. Just period. Like, there's not a lot of very good cards here. And I kind of want to delve into why. And the big elephant and or dinosaur in the room, it's a tribal set. Like, just think through it. Like, I think the only tribal decks I have ever seen with repeated success have been goblins and elves, and they have been there since literally alpha as a tribe. So
I'm going to give you a little small counter.
Yeah.
Not the whole deck, but fairy package.
The fairy package is very good. And I think I do want to also talk about the fact that I do enjoy limited quite a bit. I think that this set is in my personal opinion, one of the worst limited environments we've had in probably the last 5 years. And I think a large part of that is the fact that it's very on rails. It doesn't do that cool thing that Lorwyn did where it had like race tribal bonuses and then class tribal bonuses. So like you could draft a bunch of Kithkin soldiers and then either go into soldiers or go into Kithkin. So I don't know. This was a letdown for me. And we did get some cool stuff, but again, like 4 tribes: merfolk, vampires, dinos, and pirates. Dinos and pirates have never been supported as a tribe before, and merfolk and vampires are both not great tribes in Pauper. So I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add about the overall design of this set and how it kind of maybe doesn't line up with the goals of Pauper as a format?
It's just the strength isn't there. I don't really know what else there is to say. Everything that you might want to play, something already does it better.
Yeah. But that said, there are some cards in here. So let's recap for folks at home who, you know, probably don't want to hear all the doom and gloom. Cards that we talked about positively in this set: Martyr of Dusk, the self-replacing 2/1 for 2. Snubhorn Sentry, it's almost Wild Nicotl with a much higher cost. Secrets of the Golden City, it's a divination that sometimes draws you 3. Dusk Legion Zealot is a miniature version of Phyrexian Rager. Gruesome Fate could possibly see some play in a token shell. Fanatical Firebrand, halfway between Mog Fanatic and Goblin Rager, might be good enough. Frilled Death Spitter is a cheap thing that if you can ping it a bunch is going to dome your opponent as well. And that was pretty much it.
Did you like Tianali's Crown?
Oh yeah, I did like Tianali's Crown. In a very specific, very glass cannon-y deck, I think that could work well.
Out of the Stampede, Roska Relic.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a Roska Relic's bad, but it looks pretty. So I guess that's the main thing. You had also mentioned, so this set I think was a miss for us, and I think at a later date I do want to talk about if we've hit the point where Pauper is a format that only really cares about supplemental sets anymore, but that'll be a topic for a later date, I think. So I guess the only thing we have left to discuss, since this kind of really popped off while we were mostly on break, Adrian, how about you talk to us a little bit about the sort of going on of Pauper within the greater Magic community in the past couple of weeks?
Well, it got picked up. I think Channel Fireball really led the charge and got, pros talking about the format, and then the rest of it's just sort of picked up steam. We have a huge influx into our community. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're listening. I hope you like the show. It's really, really positive. The first Pauper GP side event hasn't happened yet, but at least I don't think it has, but it will soon. I'm very interested to see how that goes. I'm thinking about going to GP Houston at the end of the month just to play in one of those side events. So hope to see you there. Hope to be able to go. And yeah, it's just a really exciting time for the format. I would anticipate a lot of new content creators coming out soon. So to, show more content. The format's cheap and easy to get into. So I hope you join us if this is your first time listening.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think we've had a much higher profile. We've been getting, like, in the past couple days, I've had multiple people either send me deck lists or saying or asking about like opinions for their first time playing Pauper and Paper. Like, I think this is on the whole very good for the format. Heads up, folks. I believe, unless it's price corrected itself by now, Ash Barons went through a spike over the weekend, and let me just double check here on TCG Player just to see. Ash Barons, the wonderful fixing land, is 745. And
so look, here's the thing I want to say to everyone who thinks that that's too expensive. People in the format and maybe this isn't the new people so much, sorry, old guard, complain when a card is that high. And I think they forget that people pay like $40 for a land that does kind of the same thing in other formats. So the format's still very, very, very cheap. And I think there are some new people reminding us old guard about that. People pay. Tabernacles is over $1,000, for example. There are lands that cost way, way more. Fetch lands cost way, way more. So I think we're really still lucky that there hasn't been a lot of egregious spikes in the format yet.
I was going to say, this is still cheaper than every single fetch land by a factor of 2. So yes, it is expensive. It does not go in every deck. There are decks that run it where you could probably swap it out for a Evolving Wilds and be totally fine. There are always budget options. It's not the end of the world. If we get to the point where stuff like Sign in Blood is going for $1 or $2, then I'll start getting worried. But as it stands, Pauper's still very affordable, still very accessible, still super enjoyable. And next week, since we obviously have to get the set review out of the way, next week we will be delving back into the Pauper metagame. We will be getting going. 2018 is promising to be a great year, not only for the format, but for this podcast and for the folks involved in creating it. I am super, super excited about all of this. It's great. All right. I think that's probably going to call it for the day. Adrian, do you want to take us out of this show?
Before I do, I'm really trying to be better about thanking our patrons. I'm going to thank Perkins MS. This individual has been with us for a very long time, and whether or not he or she knows it, and I do know which gender they are, I'm just trying to do the privacy thing, have given us a lot of very valuable feedback in their time with us. So thank you, Perkins MS, for all of your support and for all your feedback. Please keep helping us. Please keep hanging out. You're a big asset.
Yeah. And to everyone else, always let us know what content you want to see. And we'll try and accommodate your requests.
With that, thanks for joining us today. This podcast is brought to you by the support of our patrons. Please consider supporting us if you'd like to join the show. We should have a name contest about what our patrons get called.
Ooh, I like that.
Fun thing. Check out this video or the description of this podcast for details on where to find us. We'd like to remind you, if you're listening to this on a platform with reviews, they're always appreciated because they boost our visibility. If you've got a deck list or idea for a topic, I promise we're getting to them. We have gotten a lot lately. Feel free to contact us either via our website or by emailing us directly at colorcommentary@gmail.com. Special thanks to my local game store, Pat's Games, and Mike's local game store, JP Comics, and our sound man, L. He produces our title track, Quantitative. You can find that and other great songs on soundcloud.net/ELLELLELL. I'm Mike, and we are signing off for Color Commentary.